All right, Rocky, you loving it in there? I'm loving it out here.
Oh, yeah.
You ready for marker?
Rocky.
Marker. Hello and welcome to another episode of Streaming Without a Paddle. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Ted.
This week, Ted and I took on... This was a Netflix thing. No, it was HBO Max.
It was HBO Max.
HBO Max. Acquisition. We'll call it that because it's not an original. Elevation.
They premiered it.
Yeah, well, it went to it dropped in November at the theaters for a limited release. It's one of those, right? And then it didn't do so well at the box office, so they pulled it. And
Shocker.
And
it's almost like like everybody had seen A Quiet Place and they didn't want to see A Quiet Place Part 4.
Well, you know, it only grossed worldwide $3 million before HBO picked it up. That's nothing.
This movie,
$18 million budget.
This movie should be so up my alley, it's unreal. And I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
But like they were both really good in it. Everybody was good in it.
Well, let's get into that. Let's tell everybody who's in this.
Okay.
This stars Anthony Mackey. You'll know him as Blackhawk. What's his? No, what's? Well,
Captain America.
He's now Captain America. What was
he?
The
Falcon.
The Falcon. Okay. All right. MCU. Right. Morena Baccarin. You'll know her from or as Deadpool's girlfriend,
or from the show Serenity, or Firefly was the show and the movie was Serenity.
This was directed by George Nolfi.
I don't know.
He's got some creds, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Adjustment Bureau, Elevation, which is this one, The Banker, Birth of
the Dragon is the one I remember.
The Bourne Ultimatum, Ocean's 12, The Last Stand, Need for Speed. So he's not a lackey.
Some real stinkers you just railed off.
You think so? Really?
I don't think that.
The Bournes were good, and
the Bournes were very good.
What
did you just say? That was
The Adjustment Bureau is one of my most favorite movies of all time.
Is it?
Yeah, I can relate to it. I truly believe in The Adjustment Bureau.
My friend is in that.
So not the movie. I'm the concept.
Oh yeah, I've never seen it.
You haven't?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you should see that. But I am a complete. I am a 97% believer that there is an Adjustment Bureau. So, not as they laid it out in the film.
What is that?
Well, it's like a spiritual thing that tracks your life for you. You're set on a life path, and when you get off of it, the Adjustment Bureau comes in and tries to push you back on it. And so you should see it, and it's really interesting.
Okay.
Now, in this particular film, The Adjustment Bureau, the bureau is a physical thing that comes up and shows up in his life, manifest, so he can communicate with it. But I don't think that happens in real life. That's why I said 97%.
Okay.
That's part of the 3% I don't believe in. But anyway, no, not a slacky or a lackey by any means.
No, I was wrong. I heard one movie in there that I don't really love, and I was like, oh, not that great. But then I look at his work, and I'm like, no, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Even Jeter doesn't hit one out of the park every time he steps up to bat. I mean,
and he's a huge writer. He's written a ton of stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean he's not lacking by any means in skill, which we'll talk about later. I mean, in this discussion about Elevation, which by that way it's 1 hour and 32 minutes, the perfect movie length. Perfect, right there, nailed that. But we'll get into that later. Do you want to set this up for our listeners and watchers?
Yeah. So it's a post-apocalyptic sort of these. I don't want to give anything away, but these creatures crawl out of sinkholes in the ground, and they can't go above 8,000 feet in elevation. They start killing everybody, killing everybody. So everybody tries to go up into the mountain towns, wherever. They're in Colorado, so they go up above 8,000 feet. And there's like, how many of them are there? 100? 190. 191, that's what they said.
What?
In that little colony they're at.
Oh, yeah, Mackey's in.
Yeah.
There are multiple little colonies all around.
There's multiple little colonies.
Right, 191
people in this one. And anytime they dip below the line, these things try to kill them. And so his son has asthma-ish breathing disorder.
Something of that. It was lung issues.
Let's say asthma. That's easy. Right?
Okay, well, all right.
He has turbo asthma. And he's got to take these canisters, but it's been 3 years and they've run out of canisters. So Anthony Mackey has to go to the hospital in Boulder, and he recruits this lady who's functioning alcoholic. Well, I guess they both are. They're both functioning alcoholic, because he goes, how's the liquor treating you? And she goes, helps me not kill myself. And she goes, how's the liquor treating you? He goes, helps me go to sleep at night. Yeah. I mean, when the wheels fall off in the apocalypse, you might as well go ahead and drink. And so she's trying to figure out a way to kill these things because they have an impenetrable shell. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. And so they go on an adventure. They bring another person. She doesn't really matter. She gets killed pretty quick. That's the first 30 minutes of the movie.
Wow, just throw that spoiler out there.
Oh, like it matters.
Okay, because whenever you get into these movies, you wonder which character is going to get it first.
Knew it immediately.
Did you?
Without seeing the poster. I just saw the poster for the first time. Knew it immediately.
Oh.
You know when I knew it? When I really knew it?
When?
I thought for a sec they were all three going to make it, but it's when Morena looked at her and goes, why don't we quit pretending like you don't want to sleep with him? Your best friend. So I was like, she's dying. Weren't you?
No, I didn't. I went for the character Morena's character Nina. Yeah, I went with her. I figured she would be the first to go, and there's a reason for that, and that was I kind of established that this was going to be one of these movies where everything fell onto the shoulders of, and I'm not saying that a lot of it didn't, but onto Mackey's character Will, and for that to actually happen, Nina, who was a smart person, she had to go because Katie, who's played by Maddie Hasson, it's so much funner to say it that way. Well, it's Hasson, Hasson, give it a little French. Anyway, I didn't. She's not an intelligent character. Her character's not intelligent. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
So I figured it was going to come down to one at Will or Nina, and it's obviously it's a Anthony Mackey vehicle. So I figured, okay, it's not him. Right. Yeah. All right. So they have to go down to Boulder and get some of these. You can call them, or I did, industrial size asthma containers.
Yes, industrial.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they're not your little pocket inhalers by any means. So, and they turn out not even to be an inhaler; they're a filter.
Yeah,
it's a filter.
Yeah,
it's a So anyway, because the kid's lungs had to be cleaned, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, yeah. So I forget where we went down to Boulder to get these, and they made a stop off at Nina's laboratory. Mm-hmm. She needed to gather some stuff that she thinks is going to kill these things, these bots.
Oh, you.
What?
You better cut that out.
All right.
You better cut that out of the podcast.
No, I'm not, because there's so much description of this movie on the internet. I mean, if you go to Wikipedia on this movie, and you can, the story is laid out for you.
Right, but you literally don't find that out until the last 4 minutes of the movie.
Well, I don't know.
And then they set up a sequel. Let's just lay it out there now. They set up a sequel where you find out who sent these machines to kill people.
Well, there's not going to be a sequel.
No.
There's not. I mean, you got an $18 million budget. You grossed $3 million worldwide on this thing, and a reported $18 million, and you grossed $3 million worldwide, and you've turned to HBO Max to throw you $1 million.
Well, it's the number one
air
movie.
it. On HBO Max?
Probably one of the bigger streaming platforms. I mean, they're probably, to me, the best streaming platform.
Yeah, no, they're not the biggest by far. Subscriber-wise, I think they only got like 15 million subscribers. So, but you take a Netflix in the United States has got 95 million. So
you can't even compare the quality of the shows that
not,
they put on HBO. I know you're not, but
I am not, because I am full agreement with you.
HBO Max and Amazon, for the most part, both put out, and Apple, only bangers. Like every now and then they'll have a slip.
Yeah,
Netflix will put out 20 just awful things and one good one.
They got to spend that money. I think that's just the way it is with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to this. This was, as Ted described it, it's that one, first of all, from a location standpoint, I was just like, okay, I could live in Colorado.
Me too.
I mean, I could live at 8,000 feet because the mountains were gorgeous up there where they shot this, and they did shoot it in Colorado.
Get us out of these suburbs. Let's get out of here.
So I could lose myself up there.
Save us from Kirk Cameron.
Hey, all right, you ready? I think I know where he lives.
Where?
He lives on Lower Station Camp Creek.
Did you see another video?
So no, I ended up having to take kind of a detour the other day, and of course I've seen his videos online, and of course, there's that I'm fishing without a fishing pole video.
I'm fishing in a creek that doesn't have...
I'm out here fishing.
Doesn't have trout, by the way.
And I'm thinking, and I'm reflecting, and I'm like, well, how are you fishing? What are you fishing for, God? Because you don't have a fishing pole in your hand, dude.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything in that panoramic view that you just showed that had a fishing rod on the bank. But anyway... lost in the location. That was just absolutely gorgeous. And I'll say it, one day not long ago, it was a thought to move to Colorado.
I would like to go to Vermont, but it also looks similar.
I could do Colorado. I could. Anyway, the acting was good.
Great. They were both really good.
They were.
And it was them. It's them. It's like the other girl was great too, but she's in it for literally 30 minutes.
Right. Out of an hour and 32 minutes.
The kid is great.
And, yeah.
And they're the only four real actors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another couple people in it, but they don't really do anything.
The kid is Danny Boyd Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's just adorable.
Yeah, he's great.
He was really, really good.
They're great. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It's well made. It's well written. It's all the things. It's just like, to me,
right?
I was like, this is just fine.
If I had to sum this movie up, I would say this is kind of a rewrite of the motion picture Predator.
That's a way to think about it.
Yeah.
You might have spun my brain and made me like it more.
Okay.
I bet if they did have a sequel to this, it would be rad.
Here's my problem. And I did have a problem with this. And I'm not saying it's a bad problem because I'm going to give it a decent score for what it is. In this movie, and I'm not giving anything away,
Okay.
is they have to live above 8,000 feet to be safe from these things, right?
Okay.
And so every now and then they dip down below the 8,000 foot mark for whatever reason.
Yeah, for fun.
And whether it's to run down to Boulder to pick up filters for, the aspirator or whatever you call that machine. And then that's when they become vulnerable. But they get into this position where they're running or rushing back to the 8,000 foot mark to be safe.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that is the summary of this movie for me. I think this movie raced to the 8,000 foot mark, and that's a metaphor there. And and it just got over the line. It just got over the line to be good. I think they missed so many opportunities with this movie. Let's take the creatures, whatever we're going to call them, the killers. And first of all, they're killers. That's all they do. They don't even eat.
They're robot dogs.
Don't even eat them. Let's take that. Wouldn't it have been nice to have seen a POV from them? Kind of how they're processing things? Because I think that would have helped explain what they were, right?
Yeah.
And give the audience an understanding of their objective, right? I didn't think that it had to be, I think it was useless to maintain some sort of secrecy or puzzle of what these things were. That was so insignificant. I mean, if you came out in the beginning of the movie and said what these things were, and just left it at that, okay, now how do we stop them? How do we kill them? How do we get around them? How do we get past them? Let's just focus on that, instead of leaving it so obscure through the entire movie of what these things were.
I don't understand how in the height of everybody shutting down, a tank literally didn't blow these things up.
Well, apparently, I don't know.
It doesn't make a ton of sense.
There was a lot of movie magic, nonsensical moments in this movie. Now, I say that, and I'm gonna run right back to it. It's a good movie.
It's good.
I'm going to say it. It is a good movie. It was just missing elements.
It is not as good as any of the Quiet Place movies. And it's the same movie.
Well, I haven't seen The Quiet Place because, I don't subscribe to that genre.
You haven't seen The Quiet Place?
Oh, no.
The first one you should watch.
Oh,
it's John Krasinski wrote it and directed it. You know what I'm talking about?
I know the story about it.
Yeah. And they don't speak in the whole movie after the first 5 minutes. It's the same thing, though. It's the same movie.
See, that was another thing that got there were so many things that didn't make sense because this, and again, this goes to the fact that they didn't explain what these things were from the get-go. And there's no reason not to explain what these things are from the get-go. We would have an understanding of why when they're coming out of the mountains, going down to boulders, and they pass by a herd of wild Mustangs multiple times, that there was a herd of wild Mustangs, and they weren't in danger.
See, that's when we should have both known that. Well, that's when we should have both known that they were machines. They were not tracking the horses.
That's what I'm getting at. There was no reason for them to they could have come out and said exactly what these things were so everybody understood, because it didn't change the dynamic of the cat and mouse. But by not doing that, you sit here and you look at the horses in this case and you say, why are they still alive? They're living at 4,000 feet and all these other animals, and nothing's dying but the humans. So explain that to me, if I understood. I mean, that's what I'm getting to. That's the point. I mean, when they're coming down out of the hill for the first time there, and they see all the horses there, the wild Mustangs, there was not one bit of conversation about
why are they alive?
Why are they still alive?
That's an excellent point.
That's what I'm getting to about this movie, Ted. I think this movie, the writing of it wasn't nearly as good as it could have been for what they were doing.
Yeah.
Because conceptually, I loved it. I loved the idea. Now, here's a guy who hasn't seen A Quiet Place, so I can't relate it to that, but I did see Predator, which I drew that association with pretty much from the get-go.
I would love you to watch A Quiet Place and just see what
I might do that.
Just the first one. The other two are kind of whatever.
They've already got 3 of them.
Yeah. The newest one had the guy from Stranger Things.
Ka-ching, ka-ching. John's got to be loving that.
Yeah, and Lupita Luong, the lady that won the Oscar.
Yeah.
From 12 Years a Slave.
Right.
She's great.
Okay.
And she plays like a dying cancer person and in The Quiet Place, day one.
Okay.
I don't know I think it's on Max. Either which way, it's good too. I liked all 3 of them. The first one is really good though.
So all right, let's get to some score. I mean, that was my problem with this movie, Ted, and I want the listeners out there to know that that was my problem. This script, and it's hard to say this. Rarely can you say this. It was actually underwritten.
Yeah, it really didn't explain enough of what's going on,
and it was just the vagueness to it was just. I mean, it hurt. It hurt what the movie could really have been.
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that they didn't explain what these things were and you were left guessing and all that right from the get-go and you don't understand it at the end, and it turns out it really had no bearing on it whatsoever. Just was like a waste of mental thought when your mind could have been focusing on the story and the relationship building instead of sitting there figuring out, all right, because people do that. They sit there, and I'm one. They sit there and go trying to figure out what these things are. And they're missing the story that's developing between the characters.
Well, they made them seem like animals. They breathe, they made noise, they do things like that, and then since Andrew's already ruined this for you guys, and then you find out they're robots.
I have never, ever seen anything from a description standpoint that was so written about this thing as that article on Wikipedia. And it's one of the first things that pulls up when you Google. So, go to Wikipedia and you'll read a lot more. And that just goes to the fact here, too. Anyway, I'm going to get away from that. Ted, let's get to some numbers here. All right, let's put it down. Go ahead.
62.
I'm a 7.4.
Okay.
All right, 74, 7.4. That's where I'm at. And that's good. But yeah. I really do. I feel like this movie was just like the storyline and where the objective was just to get over the line.
Yes.
Not to the top of the mountain, just to get over the line. And I really was like, oh my gosh, this movie could have been so much more.
It could have been. I just think that there's too many things like it that are better than it for me to give it a better score.
Well, but if it was fully written through, it might have gone up.
Yeah,
in your book.
Yes, but I mean, Last of Us is a similar thing. It's way better. I give it that's a TV show, so that is what it is. Quiet Place is the same sort of thing. It's way better and more well written.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to say that too often. The guy's written a bunch of bangers. I can't.
Well, he didn't write this. This was written by somebody else.
Oh.
Yeah, I forget who it was. I forget who it was written by.
I mean, we're pretty dead on. I mean,
but he's no novice either. I mean, I looked it up and he's got some creds as well.
What did we give The Gorge?
But what did we give The Gorge?
Yeah.
My number on The Gorge, I think, was an 8.7.
I think mine was
or
like 8.4.
Yeah, I mean, I think The Gorge was better.
Way better.
Well, it was, and again, I think this had so much potential that was just left in somebody's mind, and they didn't. You know what I found fascinating about this? After I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, I really liked it. Anthony Mackey did a great job in it. And I started doing the research and looking at it and, confirming where it was shot and the budget numbers and all that. And when I came across the box office on this thing and the fact that it was pulled from theaters early and it had only worldwide grossed $3 million, I said to myself, Anthony Mackey, and I don't mean any disrespect here, is not a bankable star. I don't mean anything bad by that, but you would think if somebody was big I mean, that somebody was a bankable star. That on opening weekend, I think it did 1.1 million. That it would pull in a lot more than that because people get excited about going to see movies for people. Just like The Gorge. I got excited about The Gorge because Anya Taylor-Joy was in it, and I think she is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Phenomenal. Okay.
I know. It's your favorite actress.
She is. Well, she's one of them. That's for sure. I didn't tune in for Miles Teller because I think he's okay. Nothing bad about him. But I want to get lost in Anya's character, and I did. I did in this. You know, it's like now with Bill Murray. I watch Bill Murray movies to see if he's bringing that Love on the Rocks game or St. Vincent game. Both of those were just incredible. And so, you know, I turned into the Marvel movies for Robert Downey Jr. If he's in it, I'm a given that I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
Because I think he brings so much. But I was really shocked, because I like Anthony Mackey. You know, I've never thought he was, you know, anything super special. I think he did a fantastic job in this movie. What's that? Twisted Metal, the
Great
series.
show. Can't wait
He
for
was
season
he
2.
was amazing in that as well, and that really won me over. But I was really shocked, and it really did. It shocked me that there was only that kind of draw on the opening weekend in total for this movie. It should have been bigger.
I mean, I'd never heard anything about this movie, so I feel like a lot of people didn't hear any. I mean, you've got to really try hard to hear about any movie in a movie theater now.
I would think that if somebody's putting up $18 million to produce a film, that there's going to be some sort of marketing behind it. I had no idea. I thought this was a Max original, and then when I started doing the research on it after we decided to watch it, I was like, oh, well, crap.
If you could tell me more than 2 movies that are in the movie theater that aren't massive budget Marvel movies or something of that, I would be, or an Oscar bait movie, I would be mind blown.
But
This is what's in the movie theater right now.
When does Captain America drop?
It dropped last week. It made $175 million.
That's it.
Here, hold on.
I mean,
In theaters. I
bet 95% of those people that went to see Captain America went to see it because it's part of the MCU.
Well, yeah.
And but it wasn't driven by star power.
I'm just saying to you, I don't know any of these movies.
Yeah.
And now it's gotten to the point where I have to search something out that I know I want to see in a movie theater to go see it.
I get it. And that's the reason, this podcast exists, is because I quit going to the movie theater.
Yep.
And then, we COVID proved us kind of right on that. Mm-hmm. So, in the sense of, hey, here we are, everything's streaming now. And this is a perfect example. Elevation, HBO Max, 1 hour, 32 minutes. This is a really good movie. I will watch this movie again. Matter of fact, I have already. I've watched it twice.
I will not watch this again.
You won't?
No, not really.
I enjoyed it just as much the second time as I did the first time.
Maybe if it were on, I wouldn't seek it out.
Oh, I probably won't seek it out, but if it's there. Here's the thing I found watching it the second time. It went to exactly what I was talking about. I wasn't spending my time trying to figure out what these things were. These creatures were.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake on the writer and the producers of this movie. Trying to figure out.
Yeah, you should have just given a 20-second blurb of what it is.
We knew what the Predator was in Predator.
We did.
Right from the get-go. And so now it's just about, okay, let's get emotionally involved.
Yeah.
We're trying to kill these things. Okay?
A better movie would have been them just finally, at the beginning, figuring out how to kill them and then going like, oh, the mine is caved in. We got to go on land, and we just got to fight him, and then them fighting all the way to get his inhaler.
Well, we learn at the very beginning of this movie kind of what these. I mean, because there's this alert sent out
Yeah.
across around the world about you need to get above 8,000 feet. So they understood something when they sent that elevation warning out.
Yeah.
So there, which just once again goes to the fact that the alert could have come out and just said it right then and there. We are under attack by aliens. Get above 8,000 feet. For some reason, they can't go that high.
Yeah.
Right? Be done with it. Now, let's focus the movie on getting what we need and figuring out how to kill these things. That's it. And it could have been so much better had they done that.
But they didn't.
No, they didn't. They underwrote this show. All right. I liked it. I say watch it.
Yeah, sure.
Give it its due. I mean, for people that aren't hardcore apocalyptic sci-fi people like Ted.
They'll like it. Normal people will like it.
Me, if you have my threshold of apocalyptic sci-fi stuff, you're going to absolutely love it. And this will be right up at the top. So, on that note, thanks again for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to it on right now. I'm Andrew.
I'm Ted, and I hit the mic again.